We told as soldiers, the last man, last bullet, last soldiers. Everything you're supposed to go in for a fight. It doesn't matter what happens to you. ये एक ethic है. It's not only the Pakistan, but all forces are taught. So when the defensive battle was on, when they were attacking and we were shooting them out, that was one part. But when we went into attacks, where was Indian Air Force? I can't comprehend as a soldier how can this happen that you don't put up any resistance whatsoever. And I think the CDS, when you talk about, we looked at the strategy and we changed strategy. Is that the strategy that you follow, that you don't defend your own country? I think that is what Indian Air Force will have to answer to their successive generations for time to come. When the Pakistanis were attacking, where were you and what were you doing? It's not about combat aeroplanes. It's not about the PL-15 or whatever we talk about. What is really important is how well you orchestrate your assets and how well you bring in rest of the support elements. And that, ladies and gentlemen, you must know, did not come in a day. And if I was to really track back on my journey, it's a 25 years journey. In the last 25, and I think that will relate to when I talk about more on the air power and this 25 years journey, that will resolve to your next question, Sandur kab tak chalega? And when are they going to react again? You will yourself realize it's not a day's game. What was the Air Force thinking in terms of doing large scale operations? And as purposefully said, 25 years. 25 years before, we were used to flying conventional forces, a conventional number of aeroplanes. But then it all changed. And it all changed in terms of going large force packages and getting into aeroplanes with very, very large number. We need an enemy which is 3.5, 4 times larger. And of course, the Air Force is as modern, to be very honest, even if I would say numerically as well as technically advanced. So we knew what to do. We also knew that which areas do we really need to turn the tables off, and that is where we began training a large number of aeroplanes. So जब आप सुनते हैं कि 40 जहाज उधर और 70 जहाज इधर, so your Air Force is capable of handling at least 3 times the strength. This is on the back of the palm of the boys, alhamdulillah. But it didn't come in one day. We started with 4 aeroplanes, and today we are at a place where our boys can fly 70, 80 aeroplanes without a problem. Of course, and you'll also be very happy, surprised to know that all this journey, we haven't lost even a single aircraft in training. Meteor में और PL-15 में कोई ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं है. They are all compatible aeroplanes, but it is that orchestration, how do you do the trick, is important. So I think the point that I am bringing again and back is awareness of what the future combat would be, putting all assets together and train well. Fortunately for us, India did nothing out of those. Rhetorics. Rafale aa jayenge to hum jeet jayenge. Rafale is an aircraft. Who will employ? How will they employ? So I think that is what we really need to. They put up as good fight to start with, whatever they could, but then eventually they broke down. The aeroplane fight is all about situation awareness. You're right in the middle. I mean, hats off to everybody there. They're all air warriors. Hum respect karte hain enemy ki bhi. You look at the terrain that they're flying and they know when they eject, a lot of them, even after ejection, won't come back. You're into the terrain where there's snow and everything. So courage goes to every airman who was fighting, regardless of which side it was. But then, very quickly, the links start to. You remember that call of that Rafale guy? You can't expect a Rafale person who's linked up with Link 16 and whatever modern things are. He's supposed to have everything in front of you. Where is my number 3? There is a disruption. So he can't talk to the people down below. His leg is broken, and you can imagine in the middle of night, you don't know where your boys are, where your partners are. You can't talk to the people on the ABEX and the radar down below. So now and I think the February 19 में हुआ था तो मैंने कहा था India is 10 years behind, and I maintain that statement. They never chalked out the right strategy for them to a good fight, to understand what the air war is going to be in future, and India is still 10 years away, if not more. The 6-0 thing, and उनमें कहीं पे कोई doubt नहीं है. Let's get that very clear. Those aeroplanes were down. It's not a rocket science. The moment you have the electronic spectrum which we had, you exactly know कि यहाँ पे ये जहाज है यहाँ. So whatever Aurangzeb talked about it that day, that's all absolutely clear, crystal clear. उसमें कहीं पे कोई doubt नहीं है. What is important to note is the second day when we went into, and that's I think the most valuable thing that I'm going to talk about. We told as soldiers, the last man, last bullet, last soldiers. Everything we're supposed to go in for a fight. It doesn't matter what happens to you. ये एक ethic है. It's not only the Pakistan, but all forces at all. So when the defensive battle was on, when they were attacking and we were shooting them out, that was one part. But when we went into attacks, where was Indian Air Force? I can't comprehend as a soldier how can this happen that you don't put up any resistance whatsoever. And I think the CDS, when you talked about, we looked at the strategy and we changed strategy. Is that the strategy that you follow, that you don't defend your own country? I think that is what Indian Air Force will have to answer to their successive generations for time to come. When the Pakistanis were attacking, where were you and what were you doing? Last 5 words that I have that we need to be watchful. Prepare for the next war and not this war. This is not going to happen. Agla soche. How will the enemy behave and what should we do? That's important. Choose the right friends. Sorry at the cost of reputation. No rhetorics. Do job what needs to be done. We've seen in case of Iran what's really going on. Economy is the key. And we really need to understand that the economy is strong होगी तो आप अपनी defense को strong करेंगे. Where are we on the ease of doing business? 160th of the or 162nd. What is the public-private sector interface? Minimal. A public sector would not know what the private sector is doing. There are some efforts, but why can't brilliant private sector come into the public sector and start advising? Investor का confidence का है. You don't have to make speeches for investor confidence. You're supposed to demonstrate that the investors who come in from abroad and your own investors will always say, I'm not here on an economy speak, but our economy has to be strong. And the last point is, it's a nation reborn. If we don't use this launching platform, and there's an effort on it which is already going on, इस प्लेटफॉर्म को यूज़ कर लें. ये जो मोरल यहाँ पे हाई है, इस पे आप अपने पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम को अच्छा करें, टॉलरेंट हो, एक दूसरे की बात सुने, मीनिंगफुल डिबेट्स करें, आप अपनी इकोनॉमी को अच्छा करें, आप नेशन को अच्छा करें, आप यूथ के कॉन्फिडेंस को बहाल करें by doing by following the merit and transparency. And there is a big list of all this. But my thought is, ये अल्लाह की बहुत बड़ी नेमत है जो मेरे अल्लाह ने अता की है. And we don't use it, we'll be back to square one. And the time window is not big. The time window is small, and we must use it to make sure that our generations in times to come live happily, more peace, more strength, more peace. Inshallah, the nation reborn, Pakistan. Thank you.